Hi everyone. So I think the stream should be live now. I'm sorry I had a bit of difficulties, so I had to set the stream up again, but now everything should work. And now we can start really building this Pyraminx. If you can hear me and see what I'm doing here, can you please... okay, one of you is already writing hello. Hi, Alex Honer. In this stream, I'm going to build a Pyraminx. I think you all know what that puzzle is. If you don't know, I don't have one here with me right now, so it'll be a surprise for you, but yeah, these two are the pages that we're going to need for the puzzle. And you can find them in the description. And there you can download the template, or you hopefully already have done so. Because if you have downloaded this template already, then you can build along with me now. So I'm going to start with cutting everything out, and then I'm going to glue everything together and assemble the puzzle. I don't know yet how long this is going to take, but I think we should be done in about 2 to 3 hours. I don't really know how long it's going to take, sorry. Also, I have a bit of background music, so if that's too loud or too quiet, just tell me and I'll try to adapt the volume of the music. So, okay, I'm going to start cutting out these pieces now, and I'm saying hi to everyone who's already written something in the chat and who is already in the stream right now. Thank you all for stopping by. If you want to build this puzzle yourself as well, along with me, then you should start cutting out the pieces now. Because I'm not going to take breaks to wait for anyone who is not done with a step when I am done. But the stream will be available as a video afterwards. So you can rewatch parts of it, and like that it should be possible for you, as for all of you, to follow along with this build. So these pieces that I'm cutting out right now are going to be the center pieces of the Pyraminx. So on top of here there only will be the tips, and down here there will be an access to the core and to the other centers as well. If any one of you has questions about the building process, or just like anything in general about my channel, or I don't know, just if you have any questions, simply ask me and I'll try my best to answer. Alex Honer, you're asking how my day was? Well, I'm learning for an exam right now, so I'm pretty stressed out, but apart from that, my day was pretty well. Thanks for asking. So just to make sure, can someone of you guys please write in the chat if the music is too loud or if it is okay? Lex Horner, you're asking me if I think I'm ever going to make a labyrinth out of paper. I don't quite know what you mean. Like, a real labyrinth? Well, probably not. But even a puzzle or... Well, if you could tell me what you mean exactly by labyrinth, I can think about it, but like simply to find a path or something like that, I don't think I'm going to do that, because that's not really the kind of puzzles that I'm interested in. I think I'm going to try a packing puzzle in the future though. So I don't know if you know what these are. They are like, you have a square and you have to fit a set amount of pieces inside of the square. And I think I'm going to try to build one of those in the future. But a labyrinth, I don't think so. Okay, thanks Fabio for telling me that the music is fine. And Pizar Anand, you're saying that you still don't know how to fold the pieces. We're getting there. So right now I have to cut out everything, but once that's all done, then I'm going to start gluing the pieces together, and then I'm going to show step by step how you can fold the pieces and then glue them together. So the whole building process will be in the stream. Alexander Babich, thanks for the compliment, and it's nice to hear that the music is the volume of the music is okay for you as well. Fabio, you're saying that you just imagined like a perplexus of paper. I mean, I understand that this would look really cool, but I think it would be way too much work, and because of that I don't think that I'm going to do something similar to that. So these are already 3 of the 4 centers, and these are also the largest pieces that we're going to cut out. So once those are done, the rest should be a bit faster than these. sorry, I had to check something really quick because my stream analysis page is not loading anything. So that's kind of weird, but I know that you're hearing me, so that shouldn't be a problem. I'll just keep on going, and if any problems occur, simply tell me and, well, I'll figure out what's wrong. Okay, so like that we already have the centers cut out. Now I'm going to continue with the tips, and then I'm going to cut out the edges, and then we can already start building the puzzle. This should hopefully not take too long, because this is pretty much the most boring part of the stream. So I hope some of you stick until later, until I'm building the puzzle, because that's going to be way more interesting. Just out of interest, if any of you are building along with this, are building this puzzle along with me, can you write in the chat so I know that you're building it with me, and I can check on if there are any problems or like if anything occurs. And also simply because I'm interested if any of you are really going to build this puzzle with me. Fabio, you're telling me that an Alexander star would be a great puzzle built out of paper. Well, I can't tell too much so far, but you might be happy just in a few months. But you'll have to wait until then, so I can't tell anything more. Yeah, so an Alexander star would be pretty much work, but it would be okay. So it's not a puzzle that or like a puzzle as complex as an Alexander star is not a puzzle that I would build on a regular basis, but from time to time I really like to do bigger projects as well. Like, I've built the 5x5 as well, so that was obviously way more work than an Alexander star. But yeah, an Alexander star would take some time as well, but I'll get there, I think. Okay, so these 4 pieces are the tips. And like that, now these pieces here, these 4 like rectangular pieces are going to be the axes, and this one here will be the core. So I'm going to cut them out now. Matria, you were asking how to make a pentafloppy out of paper. I'm not quite sure, but I think a pentafloppy is like a floppy cube only in pentagonal form. So you can also so there are 5 axes that you can turn. I think that's what it should be. And basically it shouldn't be too different from a regular floppy cube. And I might build one in the future. It's actually quite a good idea. But I don't know how soon. So I think you will have to wait for a bit. Okay, so the first page is already cut out. So these are all the pieces that are left. And I'm going to start with the 6 edges and then the rest of the pieces. Jolly Lolly, you're asking me if the paper I'm using is A4 or cardstock. I'm using A4 paper, but if you find thin enough cardstock, it should work as well. The really thick cardstock is probably a bit too thick for the puzzles. So the best thickness would be about 120 to 180 grams per square meter. Anything thicker than that is probably too thick, because like that then you can't fold the pieces as accurately as you need to, and I don't think that thicker paper would work, but anything between 120 and 180 should work just fine. Okay, so with these pieces, I forgot to mention this, we have to cut into the piece at a few spots. So we'll have to cut into the piece here. Wait, this line here, as well as this line here, and on this side as well. Okay, so the edge pieces are definitely the most tedious ones to cut out, but we'll get there. Only 5 more to go. But yeah, it should hopefully only take a few more minutes. And here in this area, if you're not cutting out the hooks too precisely, it is no problem, because most of the parts that you're cutting along are only for the glue. So it's no problem if there is some more of the paper left. So I think that can help a bit with making the build a bit less tedious. Half of the edges are cut out now. Only 3 more to go. Oh, Alexander Babich, you're telling me that in the description there is written that I'm building 1 by 2 by 3. Let me fix that real quick. So now it should be correct in the description. If you can check again, that would be great. I'm sorry, that was because I messed something up just as I wanted to start the stream, so I had to set it all up again, and like that it got really chaotic and I forgot to fix this again. But thanks so much for telling me. Matria, you're asking how I can't stick my fingers together with super glue. It's more like I'm gluing them together sometimes, but if you notice it right away, then the glue isn't dry yet, so you can force them apart. So I'm gluing my fingers together as well, but it's not as bad as everyone tells you, I think. Also, I'm using some glue, not exactly a super glue, often nowadays. It is this glue by Uhu, and it's taking a few more seconds to dry, so you have a bit more time to get your fingers apart again, and that really helps. Hi, yo bro Spider-Man. Nice nickname, by the way. Thanks for stopping by. I'm cutting out the pieces for the Pyraminx right now. I think you can tell that, but I thought I'd give you a quick recap of what I did so far. So these are going to be the centers, the tips, and right now I'm cutting out the edges. And I should be done with that in a few minutes, and then I'm going to start folding everything and gluing the pieces together. If you want to build this puzzle yourself, then you can download the template in the description, and you can rewatch this stream, so that's basically a pretty detailed instruction on how you can build the puzzle. And I have another question for all of you guys who are watching right now. Because, like, right now I'm wasting basically the bigger part of an hour by cutting out the pieces, which is honestly not the most interesting thing. So I would like to know if you think it would be better if I cut the pieces out beforehand and only only glue the pieces together in the stream, or if you think that I should cut out the pieces in the stream as well. Because I thought that like this people can build along and they can simply have the plans and not have done anything with the puzzle beforehand and can still follow along with the build. But it seems like there's not really anyone who is building along with me, so I think like that I could also just cut out the pieces beforehand. I don't know, what do you guys think about that? Thanks, Alexander, for the honesty. I really appreciate it. Really, thank you so much. Because, like, I can't really tell which way is better for you. So I think I'll try to cut out the pieces beforehand next time, and I'll see if someone says that he would like it much more if I cut out the pieces in the video, then I might switch again, but I think I'm going to try it out. Fabio, thanks for your opinion as well. I will think about it, but I think I'm going to try out different concepts and then see what you guys like the most. But thank you very much for telling me. And Alexander, I am right now 21 years old. So I'm in the middle of my bachelor's degree in university, and yeah, I'm just like building a puzzle whenever I have some time between learning for exams and homework from university and stuff. And Alexander, it's no problem, it's a totally reasonable question to ask how old someone is, so no problem there. I'm sorry to hear that, Fabio. I know that the timing isn't ideal for this stream, but it didn't work out with my schedule anytime else, and also with like the time shifts or with the time zones, it is really difficult to find a time which is a reasonable time here in Germany where I am, but is also a good time in the US, and I don't know where you're from, but it is really difficult to find a decent time for streams like this. But I know that probably sometime on the weekend would be better. Or what time would be the best for you? And Spider-Man, no problem if you're texting me a few times. It's really nice to hear something from you, so don't be afraid to ask anything or like to text anything. It's no problem if you are writing a lot of messages. And Island Bro, I think by this time probably not many people are from DG's video, because that collaboration where I sent him some puzzles of mine is, I think, 3 years old by now. So probably not many of you from that video. But thanks for stopping by from there. I hope you like my channel, and I hope you can find what you were hoping to find here. Spider-Man, you're saying that you're in India and it's the perfect timing for you. That is really nice to hear. I think I'm going to do streams at different times a bit, and for one part see when the most people are able to watch, but for the other I think I'm going to keep on streaming at different times so that people from different places have a chance to watch. Fabio, which time zone are you from? So I can... Or, like, which time zone are you from is a pretty stupid question, I think. Sorry, which country are you from? Or something like that. So I can get a feeling of which time it is for you right now. Alexander, the triangle pieces that I'm cutting out right now, it's a bit difficult to explain what they are for, but you will see in the end, because they belong on the centerpieces. This piece is going to be folded like backwards, like this, and then these triangles will be glued on there, so that the curve is in front of the piece. It is pretty difficult to explain what they are for exactly, but if they wouldn't be there, then the edge pieces would float around a lot. Let's just say that much. And the exact use of the pieces you will see later. I think it is so much easier to see it than it is to explain it now. I'm sorry if that is kind of an unsatisfying answer. Holly Lolly, it's 8:41 p.m. where you are. So I think you are from like Eastern Europe. So something like Ukraine or Greece or Finland or some of those countries. So for you, I think the timing should be pretty well. And I'm really happy to hear that you got it from my really bad explanation, Alexander. Because I don't think that I would have understood me if I didn't already know what the pieces are for, because I designed the puzzle. Spider-Man, yes, I'm using A4 paper. I'm just using a regular printer to print the pieces, so A4 is just the most convenient. And the important thing is that you're not using regular printer paper, because that would be a bit too thin. But it's best to use paper with about 120 to 180 grams per square meter. Oh, Fabio, so it's right during the day, so like pretty much noon where you are. That is not a bad timing, but I get why it is not ideal, and I totally get why you don't have time to build along at this time. But you can also watch the stream afterwards, because it will be on my YouTube channel as a regular video, and you can build the puzzle then. and still get the detailed instructions on how to build the pieces. Alexander, you're asking me what I'm going to build next. To be honest, I don't really know, because right now I have a pretty important exam in a few weeks, so I didn't have too much time to spend on designing puzzles or thinking of new puzzles I could build. But on my to-do list right now is a cube. I wanted to build that one for a really long time, and I think by now I have enough experience to be able to build one. And apart from this cube, I think that I'm going to build a better version of the 2x2, because someone, I don't know who it was, sent me a link to a YouTube video where there was an alternative mechanism for a 2x2, which maybe will work much better out of paper. So I'm going to try that one and see how it will work out. Oh, and Jolly Lolly, you're saying you're in Turkey. That's really cool. I've been to Turkey last spring, but had to return early because of the spreading of the coronavirus. I would have loved to stay longer, but I'm going to visit again in the future. Island Bro, you're saying that a ready cube would be interesting. I thought about building that one as well, and it shouldn't be too hard, I think, because I have already built a Dino cube in the past. It was actually one of my first builds, and that turned out pretty well. So I don't know if you know, a ready cube is basically a Dino cube just with visible centers, because the centers are completely covered by other pieces on the Dino cube, but on the ready cube they are visible, or at least part of them is visible. So it shouldn't be too different from that. And Jason, you're asking how I'm going about designing my puzzles. It's changed quite a lot from the past. So at the beginning I drew the plans by hand, the folding plans, scanned them with a printer and then colored the parts and then printed it out again. But by now I'm at first modeling the puzzle in 3D, because that's just the easiest way to go about designing a puzzle. And then I'm transforming the 3D models into folding plans by hand. I know that there is software to do that for you, like maybe you have heard of the program Pepakura. I have tried this one out before, but it doesn't quite work as well as if you do it by hand, so I decided not to do it. Okay, now we have cut out all of the pieces, and we can start folding the pieces and then gluing them together. For that, let me just look for something to lay under the pieces. Let's just use this. I'm going to start with this small piece here. Maybe you can see it here if the camera is going to focus like that. Okay, sorry for that. Anyways, the smallest of the pieces, we're going to start with that. And first of all, I'm going to cut into all of the folds, because like that I can fold the piece much more accurately and it will turn out way better. So just put a bit of pressure on the knife, but not too much, because we don't want to separate the piece. We just want to make it a bit easier to fold it afterwards. Okay, so when that's done, we can fold the pieces and then glue it together. This piece is pretty finicky, so I think I'll have to concentrate a bit now. So I hope you don't mind if I'm going to be a bit more quiet, because it's really difficult to build to glue the cores together, because on one hand they have to be extremely accurate for the rest of the puzzle to function well, but on the other hand they are so small, so they are pretty hard to build. Spider-Man, you were asking how long it's going to take to build this puzzle. I don't quite know. We are nearly 1 hour into the build by now. And I would say we have maybe a bit more than a third by now. So I would guess that the whole puzzle is going to take a bit under 3 hours. But we will see, because I'm planning to build the whole puzzle in the stream. And well, I'm going to see how long the stream takes, but it will take some time. You will probably be able to build the puzzle in one afternoon though. Or like one evening. Okay, this is really difficult to build. I'm not going to bother too much with accuracy now. I know I just said that it is extremely important that the piece is built accurately, but I think we can work with a pretty badly built piece as well. So obviously it has to be a tetrahedron, and it really has to be a pretty close to a tetrahedron, but I think it should work like it is now. I can focus. You can see it is far from perfect, but it should be good enough. Island Bro, you're asking if I have finished cutting out all of the pieces. Yes, I have. I will have to cut out some of these small circles later, but I'm not going to bother with that right now. I'm going to do that later. Okay, so now that the centerpiece is done, I'm going to set that aside to dry. And we're going to continue with the axes. We have 4 of them and they are pretty easy to build. You just take a screwdriver or something similar and roll the piece around the screwdriver, and then when it's really smooth, then you can put some glue on this side here. Focus camera. On this side here and glue it together. Island Bro, I get that you're saying that you wouldn't have the patience for this, but I didn't think that I would have either at first. But it's really, you should really try it out, because it is a really cool feeling if you have a puzzle that you have entirely built yourself and that did cost you next to nothing. So that's really one of the main aspects why I like building puzzles out of paper, and it's just really rewarding. Oh no. Okay, I just dropped one of the X's into glue. That is not good. So let me wipe that off really quick. And I'm going to put them over there because it's more safe there. Island Bro, you're asking me what the easiest puzzle to make is. That is a really tough question. So, if you want to find out if you like this whole building puzzles out of paper pretty quick, so then something like the 1x2x3 would be a good idea, because that's a build that's not taking too much time. I've built my 1x2x3 in about 1.5 hours. So that's a good idea, I think. And apart from that, the 3x3 should be pretty easy as well. But I wouldn't take the newest tutorial that I have made, because in that I'm building a pretty good version of a paper 3x3, which has rounded off edges and all sorts of stuff like that. And that's really complicated to build, so I think I would try to stick to one of the earlier versions of the 3x3. Spider-Man, you're asking me if it's helping if the puzzle is this glossy photo paper. I don't think that it's that well. It's not worse than other paper, but it doesn't really have. It's not better either. So I wouldn't suggest it. It doesn't really have a big impact on how the puzzle turns in the end. Anyways, so now the 4 axes. Oh, you can't see them there. The 4 axes are finished, these three and the one I have here. And now we will glue them on the core. And for that, at first I'm going to get the end of the axis into a triangle shape, because like that it will fit on one side of the center. And then I'm going to put quite a bit of glue on the center and press the axis on there. This process again has to be repeated 4 times for each of the axes. Spider-Man, I wouldn't suggest you to build a 2x2 out of paper. Because, like, okay, you're only asking if I made a 2x2 out of paper. And yes, I did, but I wouldn't suggest you to build my version, because it really is not turnable. I didn't even upload a template for that one, because it turned really so bad. And I didn't want anyone else to build the puzzle, because I was nearly ashamed of how bad the puzzle turned. And you can find all different kinds of tutorials for 2x2s out of paper on the internet. But if you ask me, most of them are really poorly made, because they all use a mechanism where a piece of string is simply entangled inside of the 2x2, which keeps it together. But the problem with that is, if you're starting to turn the 2x2 in the beginning, it will work just fine. But in the end, or pretty soon, it will all be entangled so much that the puzzle can't turn anymore. And you really only have fun for one solve with a 2x2 like that. So I wouldn't recommend that either. And Fabio, you're asking if I've ever seen or if I know the Melinda's 2x2x2x2 puzzle. I'm actually not quite sure. I have seen something about a 4-dimensional analogon for a 2x2. But I'm not sure. That was a while ago, so I'm not sure if it is the one that you think of. Here we go. As you can see here, this is the finished mechanism of the puzzle. And I'm going to set this aside to dry now again. because this puzzle has to be, or this part of the puzzle has to be really stable. I'm even going to put a bit more of glue on all of the seams here, because I really don't want the mechanism to fall apart afterwards. And then I'm going to start building edges, and then later I'm going to come back to this puzzle, to this piece, and attach the centers to it. I'm just going to put it there and leave it as it is for now. So now I'm going to start with gluing together the edges, sorry for that. And again, I'm going to cut into the folds a bit. So just cut along every single one of the folds that you can, or along every single one of the lines that you can see on the piece, because otherwise the piece won't be folded accurately enough. Okay, so now I've cut along every one of the lines. And now I'm going to start with gluing this hook here together. And for that I'm going to fold this backwards here. And then again in the other direction for the next fold. Then I'm going to put these two pieces into the middle, and like that the hook should come together. So now you can already see how the hook is going to work, because this is the folding plan like that, and I'm going to fold these back there and then put it together like this, so the hook is going to look like that in the end. And now we're going to put glue on, if it focuses, on this face here and on this face here as well. Now that this is glued together here, I hope it is staying together, because it doesn't really look like it. 1. Well, never mind. Then I'm going to fold along basically the rest of the lines, and you have to fold everything downwards except for this one piece here, which also has to be folded upwards. But apart from that, just fold everything down. And then we can simply glue the pieces together so the rest of the piece becomes roughly the shape of a tetrahedron. So I'm going to glue this side on first. Then I'm going to put glue on this piece here, and afterwards I'm going to glue this and this fold together. Spider-Man, I get why you're saying that making the fold before with the hooks was pretty confusing. I hope that it was understandable what you have to do. I hope I showed it well enough. If not, I can try to show it on the next piece as well, and then it should hopefully be clearer. But if you have more questions on how that is working, simply ask me and I'll try to explain it better with the next piece. Okay, right now I'm only gluing my fingers together, but never mind. Now, as you can see, all that's left is this gap here. And we're simply putting glue on these 3 parts here and cutting the door like this, basically. That's not working. It's maybe better like this. Come on. Yeah. Okay, that should hopefully be precisely enough. You can see now that there is this hook, which can wobble around for a bit, but is mostly fixed in place. Okay, so this is done only with one of the edge pieces for now, and we have to do it 5 more times. Matria, you are asking if it is possible to make a Pyraminx. If you're explaining that it is a Pyraminx without the corners. If by corners you really mean just the tips, then yeah, you can simply leave them away and the puzzle is working just as well. The tips of a Pyraminx are trivial either way, so they are pretty unnecessary. They also don't help with stability or anything, they are just there so the puzzle has the shape of a tetrahedron. So now I'm going to glue the hook again. I'm going to show it one more time for all of you. Now I'm looking onto the piece from the other side. So I'm putting these two up here. And then I'm going to press them onto this piece, like you can see here. Spider-Man, you're going to have to sleep now. No problem. I'm glad you stopped by. And you can also watch the rest of the stream whenever you have time. It will be a video on a regular video on my YouTube channel afterwards. So thanks for stopping by and have a nice day. I really hope that I'm building the puzzle accurately enough, because with some of the pieces right now I don't really think that they are too accurate. But I think it will turn in the end, and that's all that matters. So now let's close this piece. And one tip that I can really give all of you, if you want your puzzle to work well, you can't be afraid of gluing your fingers together, because sometimes it's just necessary that you press against somewhere where there is a lot of glue. And if you're starting to wait or to try to not get glue on your hands, it's not going to work, because the puzzle is going to suffer from that. But depending on which glue you're using, it is not that bad to get it off your fingers again. And if you're not using a super glue but something that takes a bit longer to dry, then it's not going to glue your fingers together in an instant. So now I'm going to need a bit more space again. And I think the mechanism is hardened enough for us to continue a bit. And I'm going to glue one of the centers onto the mechanism now. And for that, I forgot that before I have to cut into this piece here. Oh, sorry. So I've cut into the piece along this line here. Now again I'm going to cut a bit into all of the folds. Spider-Man, you came again because you weren't able to sleep. That's really funny, but like, don't stay up too late just because you want to watch this. I think if you have something important to do tomorrow, it is absolutely no problem for me if you're not staying, so don't feel pressured at all. But thanks that you stopped by again though. Hi official Timber Trim, thanks for stopping by. Right now I'm gluing one of the centerpieces to the mechanism. So I'm preparing the piece for being glued together afterwards. If you have any questions on how far I am in the process or what I'm doing exactly, feel free to ask and I'll try my best to answer. And yeah, that's basically it. So if you have any questions, just ask me. Okay, so now I've cut into all of the folds. And one important thing is now this piece has to be connected through there to the mechanism. So we have to remove this circle from the piece. And that's pretty much impossible with scissors, so I'm using the knife to cut along the circle. And this time you don't just want to cut into the piece a bit, you really want the circle to fall out at the end. So I'm using quite a bit more pressure here. And it's also helping to turn the piece around after you have cut around everything, because like that the piece can be the circle can be separated from the piece much more easily. So here we go. The circle is removed now, and the piece has to go in here like this. So for now, I have to think about how I'm going to go about building the rest of the puzzle, because in the end, this is going to be the tip, and it's going to get on here just like this, and this is going to be folded upwards, and these pieces are going to be folded downwards. And I think I can close this piece and then cut the circle of this piece out. So I think I'm going to do that. So now I'm going to fold this piece here already, because that would be way more difficult once it is attached to the mechanism. Okay, so I have to think about how I'm going to glue this together. I think I'm going to put glue on this piece and on here for now. And glue these parts together like you can see here. And now we can attach the center to the mechanism like this. So for that, I'm going to cut into the axis here, but actually I have to check something on this piece if it really works. So I'm going to set this aside for now and do the same procedure as I did with this piece again. So at first I'm going to cut into here, and now I'm going to cut a bit into all of the folds. Nitoxim, hey, thanks for stopping by. If you have any questions on how far along I am with this build, or any questions on some of the steps that I'm doing, feel free to just ask them and I'll try my best to answer. And yeah, if there's anything on your mind, just let me know. You're asking if I'm considering making a Papers cube. I'm definitely considering to build one. A cube is one of the puzzles which I have struggled the most with. So I've tried to build one. Like, I've actually tried to build it one time before, and I've tried to design one already for the third time by now. But the first times it didn't quite work out, but by now I think I will be able to build one pretty soon. But it will take some more weeks. So you can definitely look forward to it, but it will take some time. Okay, so I've cut into the folds now, and now again this circle here has to be removed. Julia Alexandrova, for you as well, thanks for stopping by. If you have any questions, just let me know. And yeah, enjoy the stream. I hope I'm kind of able to entertain you. Even though I think the stream is not the most interesting, to be honest. And Nitoxim, I don't think your username is that hard to pronounce. But thanks for the compliment. Okay, so the circle is removed from this piece as well. So I'm going to fold it and glue this one piece, or glue together these two sides for this piece as well. And then I'm going to continue attaching them to the mechanism. Nitoxim, thanks so much for your answer. I really hope that it's okay, like how I'm talking with you. I'm trying my best making this stream interesting for everyone and informative as well. But I get the feeling that from time to time it's getting a bit monotonous, or I don't really have anything to say, so I hope I'm not boring you at any time. But thanks if you're saying that it's working well. And official Timatrim, yeah, this would work better if I had over 40 people watching. But my channel is just not big enough, so I have to be okay with less people. And as long as there are nice people in the chat, and there definitely are at the moment, I don't have a problem with less people being here. Mitoxin, thanks so much for the encouraging words. Oh. Okay, guys, I just realized I screwed up something. This is kind of embarrassing, but I think we can probably fix this. If we look at these two pieces, we can already see here this circle is cut out and here the upper circle is cut out, so that is a really big problem. Because on here there is only going to be the tip on there, and on the bottom there is going to be the mechanism attached to that. So this circle has to be removed as well. And I don't really have a chance to get in there by now. Okay, I don't really know what I'm going to do with this. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Spider-Man, okay, so thanks for stopping by again, and see you in my next stream. I really don't know what to do with this now. I think I'm just trying to get the knife through there. Okay, so this is going to... the quality of the build is going to suffer from this, but there is not really a better way to do it by now. I should have just paid more attention, but here we go. Okay, here we go. It isn't that bad, as you can see here. Yeah, it should just work fine. It's no problem that there is a small cut on here. Okay, so now we can continue with the build. I'm going to try something out if the axes have the correct length. So if I put two pieces here... No, wait, this is weird. They have to have they have to be like this for a piece to slide into there. Okay. I will have to freestyle some part of this build because apparently there were some flaws in my template. I'm going to update the template after this stream so that if you're going to build the puzzle, then these axes are going to be like only this tall. And then everything will work fine. But for me now, I will have to do some markings by hand and then cut some things apart again. Sorry that this build is going south so much right now. I swear that it's going to be better again. I just have to fix this one mistake and the rest of the build should be pretty smooth because these pieces are already working, and that's pretty much all the difficulty afterwards. So this whole part here is you definitely don't have to do this if you're building the puzzle yourself, unless you are building along with me right now, or if you have already downloaded the old template, but I will update it so it will work fine. Okay, I have to catch up with the chat real quick. Alexander, you're asking me how many paper puzzles I've built in total. I didn't count, but I think it's probably about 20 or something like that, maybe a bit more. Yeah, it should be more than 20. More like 30 or something like that. And Alexander, you're saying the core looks nice. Yeah, the angles are not the problem, but the axes are far too long. Because when I put two centerpieces on there, they have to be in a place so they can hold an edge. So they have to be in there like this. If you know what I mean. And for that the axes have to be a lot shorter. So I'm going to have to eyeball how long I'm going to cut the axes now. Okay, so this is pretty difficult. Okay, so I think I'm going to go with an edge length of about 7 millimeters, or not edge length, sorry, axis length. And that should work. I have to catch up with the chat really quick again, because I have to concentrate really much right now, because I want this puzzle to be functional in the end, but I screwed up big time there. So I'm really sorry to everyone. I'm going to try to fix this, and I think it will work in the end. Pop 4 scene, you're asking if you should get into cubing. I would say definitely yes. I mean, I started with speed cubing, I started with learning how to solve a cube, but I got into speed cubing really quick after that. And quite some time later I got into building puzzles out of paper. And I really enjoy speed cubing as well. I'm not that good in it, but I'm decent, I would say. And yeah, I think it's definitely worth a try, and if you don't enjoy it, then you can stop at any time, but I really recommend you to try it. Fabio, you're saying that being into cubing and being into speed cubing are totally different things. I agree partially. I mean, you can be into cubing, like solving all sorts of different puzzles, and still not be into speed cubing. But I think if you like one, then it's really likely that you enjoy the other as well, because it's just a nice feeling if you can solve some puzzle really quick. Okay, so here we go. This should be... the puzzle should be repaired now. At least the part that like was broken in... yeah, I should have tried this out before, I'm really sorry. So let's try this here one more time. I think this should work. Okay, so now we're back on track. Now I'm really going to attach one of the centers to the core. I'm going to cut into the axis here until the line, which is drawn with a pencil in my case, but should be printed on the piece. Okay, this is working far from ideal. Okay, never mind, it should be decent at least. Okay, so the chat to cube in general, what is... Alexander, did you ask me what if I cube and what my favorite cube is, or did you chat with the other few people? So anyways, this should work now, and now I'm going to put it through the hole here, and now in here we can spread the axis so that it can't fall out anymore. And to really save it, like make sure that it can't fall out anymore, we are going to glue this disc on here, because like that the different spikes here can't move up again. So I'm putting some glue on the pieces, and now I'm going to press the center, the circle onto it. And like that, the center is fixed in place and it can't move away from the mechanism anymore. So now I'm going to have to do the same for the second center, which I have already prepared, and for the other two as well. So for this one we have to find out which center it is first. So here the orientation of the centers is important, because this center has to go here, because between the two there is the green and red edge, because here is red and red and green. So this is the correct spot for the center. And because of that I'm going to cut into here. And now I'm going to move the piece through the axis again. And then I'm spreading the axis inside of the piece and taking the second of these circles to make sure that it doesn't fall off anymore. Nitoxim, you're asking me if I consider creating a cube brand. No, I don't really, because I don't have any plans of making this my job or anything like that, because there are way too few people interested in the subject. And even if I expand to more paper models in general or something like that, I think I am just not interested in it enough for it to be my job, and I also don't think that I would be too successful with it. Okay, so now we have two of the centers attached to the mechanism, and now we can try if the pieces are staying in there. And I think the axis should have the right length now. So I think I have saved this puzzle again, but this was a really close call. Way too close. So now we can already close these two centers. Thanks, Fabio, for telling me that, and sorry that you have to go, but thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate it. here we go. The first of the centers is closed now. And I can already close the second one as well. So I'm going to continue with this already. And then I'm going to attach the rest of the centers to the puzzle. Nitoxim, you're asking what made me start building paper puzzles. Actually, I don't really know why I liked building puzzles out of paper, but I got the idea because as I mentioned before, I started speed cubing like half a year before I started building puzzles out of paper. And I stumbled over an instruction and a template for a paper 3x3, and somehow I thought that's really interesting, and so I've rebuilt the template, and after that worked decently and the puzzle was turnable in the end, I thought, well, you could do the same with other puzzles. So I tried to build a Pyraminx out of paper. If you ask me now, I have no idea why I thought a Pyraminx would be a good idea, because it has so many pieces and it's just like so much work, but I thought a Pyraminx would be perfect to try if I can build puzzles myself. So I did. And after quite a few tries with the mechanism, because I knew next to nothing about puzzle mechanisms before that, I got it working, and I've posted it on the speed solving forum. I don't know if you know that forum, but I created a post with some pictures showing off my creation. And one of the people who answered to that post was DT Cubes, who some of you, or like probably most of you, know. And it was pretty amazing for me that someone like DT Cubes was really interested in my paper puzzles. And because of that, because he wrote something like he'd really love to see a video about the puzzle, that was basically the reason why I started making a YouTube channel. It was at first just for that one video, and from there I just thought, well, let's keep this going and see where we'll get. So yeah, that was a short version of my story, like how I got to YouTube and stuff. Alexander, you're asking what my PBs in cubing are. Honestly, I didn't cube much during the last month, so I don't know most of them exactly. My 3x3 PB is pretty exactly 7 seconds, I think, but I'm averaging around 14 or something like that. 13, 14. And my 4x4 PB is 42 seconds. And yeah, my best event is probably Scube. I'm averaging just around 5 seconds in Scube. Yeah, Nitoxim, you're really saying it. I was so lucky that he responded to the post and he thought that it was cool, because before I thought it's like this weird thing that I tried out and no one's really interested in it. But it was really nice to get that feedback from him. Okay, so this time again I've cut out the right one of the centers. I forgot that I have to cut into here, and let's do that with this piece as well. And now I'm going to do basically the same as I did before with the other pieces. So I'm going to fold everything, and then I'm going to glue some of it together and attach it to the core. Yeah, Nictoxim, you're really saying it. You will, with pretty much any interest that you have, you will always find people who share that same interest, and who will be happy if you share your experiences and your thoughts with them. Okay, so now these two centerpieces are already in place, and this one has to go, come on, this one has to go here, I think. Wait, like that, yeah, exactly. This one has to go on here, so I'm going to cut into there now. Yeah, come on. Okay, so let's put this through there. Spread the axis. Alexander, thanks for all the compliments. I really appreciate it that you like my channel. Nitoxim, sad to hear that you have to go, but thanks for stopping by nonetheless, and thanks for asking all the questions. It would have been really quiet otherwise, so thank you very much for that. And I hope it was interesting for you, and I hope you just had a nice time. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, so slowly part of the puzzle is coming into place, because now I'm close to having all of the centers attached to the mechanism, and after that the biggest part of the build is already done, and I think we should be able to finish this puzzle in about 1 more hour. Come on, there is no glue coming out of my glue. I hope it's not empty, because I have some more glue around, but okay, there it's going, and now there's way too much coming out of it. Well, never mind, that's pretty much how this glue always is, but at least it is working well. That's all that matters. Okay, so with the last piece, it has to go on here. And yeah, that should all work pretty well. Let's just cut into the axis again. So the last center is always the most difficult one to attach, because the whole center is already, or the whole mechanism is already filled with pieces, and it's pretty hard to get that last one in there. But with a bit of trying, it should work as well. Now it is important that we move the centerpiece a bit so it doesn't stick onto the axis, because if that happens we have a really big problem, because we can't turn the piece anymore like that. But okay, it should work well enough. Not perfect, but it should do the job. So I'm going to close this center here now. This is really finicky with all of the centers already attached to the puzzle. Okay, here we go. So 3 of the 4 centers are already closed. And I'm going to continue with the 4th one right away. My fingertips are really full of super glue by now, but I'm going to worry about that later. Right now the most important part is that the puzzle is going to come together decently. And I think I'm on a good way for that. Okay, Alexander. Sad to hear that you have to go, but thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed the stream and see you next time. So the mechanism is complete now, and we can try to insert the first edges already. Okay, that looks pretty well. So now I'm going to build the rest of the edges, and in the end I'm going to attach the tips to the puzzle as well. For the edges I'm going to cut into the folds of all 4 of the remaining edges for now, and then I'm going to build one after the other. For the people who are watching now, you can ask me whatever you want in the chat. I'll be happy if you ask me some things, because then I know something that I can talk about, and I can tell you some things. And so feel free to ask me anything that you would like to know, and don't hesitate. I would really love to answer your questions. Okay, so all 4 of the pieces are ready to be folded now. So I'm going to fold them and glue them together afterwards. I'm sorry guys if I'm too quiet right now, but the steps that I'm doing here are pretty monotonous because this is already the third of 6 of the edges, and I've explained in detail already how this piece is built. So I don't really have anything to explain here, but I don't have anything else really to tell you because I already told really much, and if you have any questions you can always ask me, but if not, then I think I'm just going to build this puzzle and not really say too much because I really don't know what. Matria, you are asking how much the centers should measure. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. I mean, I can write the measure in the chat in a few moments. I just have to finish this piece first. But do you really mean the centers or do you mean the length of the axes? Because I've changed that. So I think that might be what you need in the chat. So, Matria, I've written the length of the axis in the chat. If you mean something about the centerpieces, just write again and I'll try to answer your question. Changing's Trash, thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate it. I'm doing great. I'm having a lot of fun building this puzzle. And I'm pretty far with the build already. As you can see, the core is already working and there are already 2 of the edges in the puzzle, inside of the puzzle. You can't really turn it well so far, but that's mostly because it's not stable enough because there are only 2 edges in there. And right now I'm building the rest of the edges, and afterwards I'm attaching the tips to the puzzle and then the puzzle should be done. So if you have any questions about the building process or anything in general, just ask me and I'll try my best to answer. Jay, thanks for the compliment. I really appreciate it. You're saying that you're glad you stumbled upon my channel. Well, and you're also saying that the things I do are unique. Well, yeah, that's true, but to be honest, I think that's mostly because they are kind of insane and a bit of useless as well. But if you enjoy them, then that's great. Come on, the piece won't go in there. Okay, so this edge isn't going to look great, but it should be working, so I don't mind too much, but it's a bit sad. Yeah, Alexander, yeah, I'm gluing the pieces. I'm gluing the edges right now. And afterwards I'm going to glue the tips on, and then the puzzle should be done. So thanks for you stopping by again. And yeah, you can pretty much see all the progress that I've made in the meantime. These are the new edges, so we have 4 of the edges now and only 2 more to go. So we should be kind of close to the end. Here I'm just cutting some of the pieces away, or some parts of the piece away, because like that everything's going to fit together more easily. But that's not necessary. If you glue it carefully enough, then everything should work out otherwise as well. Oh, yeah, Alexander, you're right, I forgot to update that. Let me change that real quick. Thanks for telling me. I really forgot to update that at all. But yeah, I mean, you can tell what I'm doing pretty soon after you're watching the channel, after you're watching the stream. So thanks, Alexander, for telling me that. Okay, so now we already have 5 of the 6 edges, and there is only one more to go. And Alexander, why are you deleting all of your messages? You totally don't have to do so. You have nothing to be ashamed of if that's the case. Jay, you're asking me what my favorite puzzle so far was, or like the favorite puzzle that I've built so far. That is a really tough question. I don't know if I have one definite favorite puzzle. I obviously like the 5x5 really much because it was such a challenge if I can build that puzzle, and it was really an amazing process. So if I have to name one puzzle, then I think it would be the 5x5. But for example, the floppy cube or the 1x2x3 are mechanisms which I'm really happy about and which I really like, so those are up on my list as well, even though those are puzzles that are very easy to build and by far don't take as much time. So yeah, I really never thought about what my favorite puzzle was. The star one, for example, I don't know if you remember it from the last puzzle advent calendar. I thought that one was really cool as well, and I really liked the look of it. So I don't know, maybe that one as well. I mostly have puzzles I don't like that much, so I don't really think about which puzzles I like the most, but I rather have puzzles that I don't like, so I'm really not happy with my 2x2, for example. So yeah, those are mostly puzzles that I want to redesign in the future. And yeah. Okay, so by now all of the edges are done. And I'm going to leave them as they are and set them aside to dry for a bit. And I'm going to attach the first of the tips in the meantime. So for that I'm going to cut into all of the folds again, and then I'm going to cut out these inner circles. Okay, all of the tips are cut out now. And now I can start folding them and gluing them into place. For that I'm going to fold all of them and then I'm going to glue them onto the mechanism, and only in the end I'm going to close the pieces. So this tip has to go on here, and for that I'm going to use these circles that I've cut out from these pieces. I'm going to cut them into 4 parts. It doesn't have to be too precise. They just have to be for decently small parts. And now I'm going to put some glue on this first part, and I'm gluing it onto the center here. Same with the second one of these pieces. I'm going to glue it onto the first one here. And 2 layers should be enough, so I'm going to do the same process with all of the other sides. And now on here I'm going to glue the tip. So I'm going to lay it onto there and put some glue here. And now just press the circle on there and, oh sorry, you can't really see it, like this, so you will see with the next piece again. I've pressed the circle on there and now I'm going to wiggle this piece a bit, because otherwise it will get stuck to the mechanism, so to the center. Now I'm going to take care of this piece really quick. Here I messed something up, so I'm going to have to cover this with a piece of paper. So for that I'm just cutting out some shape here. Now let's put some glue around this hole. And like that, the hole is covered up again. Now here I'll have to put 2 pieces of a very thin piece on top of there as well. So let's cut that. And here now I'll have to eyeball the middle. But this should be approximately in the middle, so it should work. And for the second layer as well. Okay, so let's continue assembling the chips. This one is going on here. Okay, now I'm trying to show it to you more precisely. You can see I have this circle here and I'm simply pressing it onto the hole. And when it's there, well, that didn't work. Let me try that again. So I'm putting some glue on here. And then I'm pressing this on there. Okay, now this is working. Next tip is going on here. So a bit of glue again. Not that much. And let's press this on there. And the same procedure for the last one as well. Okay, now all of the tips are attached and all that's left to do is to close them. So the first of the tips is done, as you can see here, and it is also turnable. Tip number 2 is closed. number 3, and now on to the last one. And like this, all of the tips are done. And now I'm going to try to assemble the puzzle and see if everything works fine. So here we go. Only a few more pieces and the puzzle is complete. So as you can see here, this is a complete finished Pyraminx. Let's try a move. It is working. So the tips can obviously be moved, but those are not too spectacular. But the other pieces can be moved pretty well as well. So I'm going to scramble this puzzle real quick and show you guys a quick solve, and then that's going to be it for this stream, because it's been way too long already by now. Also, just to let you know, I didn't put in these pieces now, but that's mostly because they are not necessary for the puzzle to function. And I think because the axes turned out to be a bit stiff, the puzzle would actually not benefit from them right now. If the puzzle is really loose, you can put them in, but like this, I really wouldn't. Okay, so here we go. I think this should be scrambled enough. So let's try to solve this puzzle now. I'm going to start with the yellow layer. So let's get the... I'm really not good in solving Pyraminx, so this might take some time. But yeah, let's... Or we can start with the red layer as well. That's probably a better idea. So let's get this over there and like this. So this will be a pretty quick solve, I think, because now I only have to insert the last red edge and the rest of the puzzle should be solved. Oh, okay. So now this whole lower layer is solved, and all that's left to do is to swap these two pieces. Because as you can see, now the rest of the puzzle is already solved. So these two have to be swapped in place. I'm not 100% sure how that worked, because last time I solved a Pyraminx was about half a year ago. So let's see if what I'm doing works. And I think it might. Oh, Fabio, you're here again. Yeah, this puzzle took way longer than the last one. Mostly because it just has more pieces. And yeah, the mechanism is a bit more complex than last time as well. But we're nearly done. We are done with the build. I'm just solving this puzzle to show you that it is fully functional. And here we go. With this last turn, the puzzle is solved again. So yeah, here we are. I hope you liked this live stream, and I'm really glad that so many of you stopped by and asked me questions and had fun with me in the chat. I really had fun with all of you guys, and I'm really happy that some of you really sticked around that long. So tell me in the comments if you want me to do anything differently, especially if you want me to cut out the pieces before the stream or after the stream. And also tell me which puzzle you would like to see next in the next Let's Build Together. So thanks everyone for watching, thank you for stopping by, and I'll see you next time.